Alright, this is Grid Legends on the Quest 3. And I think it's a game that's going to be a little surprising if you are not already aware of it. This game's been out for a while, and there's really nothing else like it on the Quest 3. I want to talk a little bit about what works, what doesn't work, what I'd like to see more of on this platform. A little bit of quick background. Grid Legend came out on PC and consoles many years ago, and a couple of years ago, before the Quest 3 launched, there was a sudden, unexpected launch of a Quest version of Grid Legends. Kind of came out of nowhere. Really surprising at the time, because I don't think anyone thought that a game like Grid Legends could run on the Quest. And sure enough, when it launched, it was pretty terrible. If you thought it couldn't run on the Quest, the state of the game at launch would pretty much confirm those suspicions. The game ran in super low resolution, the performance was bad, it was super ugly. You can see that we've come a long way since then. It's actually quite an attractive game. Now, of course, I'm running this on Quest 3, which is, a more powerful platform than what this game was intended for. That helps a lot. I'm also running it through Quest Games Optimizer, so I'm bumping up the clock speed of both the CPU and the GPU in order to get, a steadier frame rate out of this. You can see, so far what we're seeing in here is pretty steady. Grid Legends has some graphics settings. I have this set to the max resolution, that's 125%. I also have it set to the maximum frame rate, which is 120 frames per second, and it runs with app Space Warp. I want to take a look at maybe one of the city levels. We can try something like London. Like all racing games, there's a lot of time in between races. It takes a long time to load between levels.
Hello, everybody, and let's make I now
So, this is an example of more of a city level, and less of a natural landscape, and more urban. You can see just a tremendous amount of detail here at the starting track. I mean, look, it's not going to compete with, a PlayStation 5 in terms of levels of detail, but really surprising for what you would expect on the Quest. I mean, there's a very generous amount of geometric detail here. You can see the balloons are not very round, they're kind of crunched. Anyway, and running this game at a high enough resolution can be very attractive. Now, it still suffers from some problems. It has some blurry textures, especially the road textures tend to be pretty blurry. All the trees are flat billboards, and the lighting can be flat in certain circumstances. I think what we've been looking at today has looked reasonably good in terms of lighting. But Grid Legends really kind of punches above its weight in terms of, just the amount of detail and that you see in here. I should also mention Grid Legends has a lot of levels in it, and each level has a lot of variety. You can play different kinds of races with lots of different cars. And they also have several different settings for time of day and weather conditions on each level. There's an awful lot of variety to be found here. in a lot of ways, I think that this is probably one of the most underrated Quest games. That being said, there's still some real problems here. One problem was just the condition that the game was when it launched. That has just kind of spoiled people's perceptions about the game in a way that has never really rebounded. Another major problem is that even though this is really an online-focused game, it was really designed around online multiplayer, the servers went down just a handful of months after the game launched, and there is no way to play this game multiplayer, and for a long time people were hoping the servers would come back up someday, but that was years ago now, and really there's pretty much no hope that this game will ever come back online. So this game is entirely single player now. That's very unfortunate for a racing game, especially one that's really built around multiplayer as much as this one is. The third issue with this game is the controls are all done with the joysticks. Let me try one more level before I run out of batteries. Yeah, there's no option for using a steering wheel or pedals with this game. It's really unfortunate that the Quest doesn't support driving wheels of any kind. It also doesn't really have like the kind of virtual steering wheel that you might expect that some of the other racing games on the platform have. It does have some kind of a motion option, but it's not good. It's bad. Anyway, here's another example of a level that's really gorgeous to watch. You can see I've got 16 cars in the race. It feels like, a big event. And, it helps that there's a lot of spectators watching. And like I said, even with the low detail textures, it really is. It can be a beautiful game, depending on what level you're on and what time of day you're playing in. Anyway, so really underrated game with some real tragic flaws and limitations. But if you haven't played it yet, this might be a cool one to check out if you're into racing games and you wish that the Quest had something like this on it. It does. Alright, that's my thoughts.